Alright, I'm Dr. Loving. Today, with Johns, it's a game that, yes, you play to win, but as the somewhat great Herm Edwards would say, this is the old world, no gunpowder, nothing fancy. Just straight brutalism. Versus high-techy boom sieves. The title of this is Pushetto, as a pun on prosciutto. And, well, it's got a good name and a good rhyme and reason for it. So, let's begin with our opponents. So, for a player, I cannot pronounce their name because I can't read that language. This is the Spanish. Now, a criminally underrated aspect of the Spanish. They have this unique monastery unit called the Missionary. It's got a lot of buffs lately, but essentially, it is stellar at run and gun conversions, surviving, healing, not slowing the units down, which I think is pretty solid. On a side note, in many Spirit of the Law videos, anytime there's a new unit on the field, so like the Heiguang Cavalry, right? The new variant for the Nightline, for the Three Kingdom DLC civs, he'll always use a Spanish Paladin as the basis. Which is nice, because most of the time it's a punching bag, but they could use the Hun Paladin, because it's just as generic, quote-unquote, but, you know, the stables work 20% faster for the Huns, but either way, okay, so, just kind of ironic. They fire 18% faster with gunpowder. There's a reason why Spanish is a good team unit, given the trade bonus, but also their unique unit, the Conquistador, is, in my opinion, the sweaty of sweaty units, possibly in the game. It is way too overpowered in Castle Age. There's no true counter to it other than somewhat double the mass of the unit. It's incredibly easy to micro, insanely fast to fire, and it is way too cheap. They need to make this thing, like, whatever on the food cost, but the gold cost needs to be 85 gold. Like, it is so prohibitively powerful, and you need a 2-to-1 skirm ratio, ballistics, full upgrades, just to stand a shot against them, because they just outpunch everything. And contrary to the Bohemian hand cannoneers in Castle Age, or even the Janissary for the Turks, which we'll get to in a moment, this thing can just stop and move and just mass firepower. So anyways, yeah, they also don't get any eco bonus other than the 30% faster building and 20 gold for every tech, and they don't pay gold for their blacksmiths. So, we'll segue that to the Bulgarians in a moment, but let's go ahead and look at, if not the greatest, which is such a asterisk, but you know, the greatest sweat of all arena maps, or of all civs. On arena, this is the greatest sweat. What that means is, the Turks are notorious for their 20-minute, like, it's minute 20, minute 21 of the game, and they're at Imp. One town center, 30-ish vills in Dark Age, and then 2 vills per age, and somehow they make it to Imp. Obviously, they sell their stone, whatever, but the reason why Turks and Spanish are a solid pairing, can't say they're good because they're annoying, but is, yeah, gunpowder units are created faster, right? So that helps. One, if I was to play the Turks, so I listed all the negatives about them because I just don't like them. If I was to play the Turks, I would treat them as a Hun-ish civ, meaning I wouldn't even touch gunpowder other than maybe the, like, bombard cannons later on, right? Like, that's no problem. The reason is Sipahi, probably one of the best upgrades in the game. I view Sipahi like I do Hussite reforms, not in the same reverence of any sort, but in the regards of criminally underrated techs. If I was playing the Turks, I would just Cav Archer Civ and free Hussar upgrade the tech, not the blacksmiths, but upgrades. But that's what I would do. I would just overwhelm with speed, mobility, and aggression, and then I would just slowly, I mean, you know, bombards are more mobile than Trebs, but the point being is just turtle at home with like 1 or 2 castles, and then the rest of the time it's just forward and aggression in terms of like late game Turk comp. Their trash units are the worst in the game. Basic spears, basic skirms. So yes, there's a ticking time clock, but such it is. I never knew they had heavy scorpions, so it's unique to them. Nor did I realize they had Cavalier too, so interesting. They cap off, though, at longsword, so that's kind of funny. Now, there's many strats a Turk could do, but the aforementioned fast imp is one of them. So now, to the Bulgarians, or as in the native, referencing Bulgars. I'm still reading a Merriam-Webster. Is it Merriam-Webster? Oxford history. I don't know what I was thinking of Bulgaria. So I get different interests in different European countries, and so I'm reading the histories of them. I'm also reading the Hungarians right now. So anyways, the Bulgarians. I just think it's good to broaden the horizons, and yeah, I'm a history major. That's just kind of that, right? So the Bulgarians, in my opinion, are like 1 or 2 things missing for being one of the best civs in the game. If they just had maybe just 1 eco boost, it could be anything outside of their town centers costing half as much, I think they could be a top tier civilization. They have no inherent weakness in their unit line. Now, if their monks had block printing, then boom, you're set. You can convert siege at 12 range instead of 9. Very rare to have just redemption and not block printing. But anyways, that's kind of that. One moment. Okay, so yeah, that'll be better for the HUD, for the stats. But yeah, so like free militia line upgrades, really solid. Bagains, which I follow Cast of Empires. He's pretty good. But he had one title called Bilbo Bagains, so that's pretty funny. Yeah, so they're baby Teutonic Knights, right? Very solid. And the thing with them is again, other than missing the last Archer armor upgrade, exceptional. Like, I've used them as heavy Cav Archers with Conics, or like, you know, Scorpions and Militia line. There's a lot of options with them, but you don't really need gunpowder in this game to succeed, as you know, perhaps will be evidenced. Unfortunate pathing here, but, you know, such is life sometimes. But the whole point out of all this is... That's crazy. Tony the Tiger going crazy. Nice. Okay. So anyways, yeah, they just don't get enough of an eco bonus. Now, their Krepost is significantly better than my building, the Donjon, but each have their own abilities, of which the Krepost can create their Conic, which is the unique unit. It's got 2 lives, mounted, dismounted variant. No melee counter can effectively get it, other than the raw stat power of a Teutonic Knight, but other than that, that's that. Now, we'll do the Sicilian intro real quick. Yes, this is why the Spanish have their own disdain in my book, because they will always castle drop with their 30% faster building speed, and they will always do their unique unit. Okay, so that was a lot of Civ intro. Why it goes to him, I don't know. But anyways, so we're both getting castle dropped. Sicilians, real quick, 40% bonus damage mitigation, great. I love the Tech First Crusade. You could just generate military essentially for free with booming as the essential. The building speed is not like the Spanish where it's 30 flat. You get, yeah, so just some little scuffle. Yeah, so it's castles, dungeons, which technically isn't built any faster than a watchtower line, to be honest. And the town center 100% faster building speed, which is so fantastic. So the great thing with the Sicilians is just the sergeant and upgrading to Hauberg for the Nightline is really good. This civilization, in my opinion, is probably third best for me in terms of just creating military. The Poles, to me, are my favorite to just, if the conditions are right, beat a lot of civs with the Poles. And then the Huns, just because it's simple, and mentioned the Turk ticking time bomb, the Huns are just as guilty, but theirs is anybody that has siege is not a fun time. So anyways, this is another strat the Turks can do, which is just produce the living heck out of, Janissaries, which is basically hand candy or castle. Fantastic. Alright, so anyways, that's happening over here. Over here is, you know, the Sweats are doing their thing. We wanted to do an all-in castle against the Turk, but, you know, change of plans. So, at this point, that's just what we're going to do. And that's kind of that. So, okay, that to say, at this point, it's just holding the line, right? The best way to beat Sweats, or really just out of some reverence for the opponent's strategy in a real-time strategy game, is just out-boom, right? So if you're gonna turtle, if you're gonna boom, you gotta have a strategy in mind. Now, win conditions for the Turk and the Spanish, pretty simple. You just mass your gunpowder, and you're good to go, right? So, Johns is doing a great job denying this castle. We didn't see it, but he got a couple kills, which was exceptional. Good value, right? So, by delaying this castle more is good. So at this point, he's just making military, which is great. And then, you know, his Krepos are generally right outside of the range fan of this castle. They're probably within range, but the moral of the story is he probably would upgrade this. And as long as the Spanish isn't microing, you can punish him, as is evidenced, which is so fantastic. So, okay. Just again, getting great value out of this. Really solid. Does he deny it again? It looks like he will. We're probably at 99%. Oh my gosh, that is so sensational. Meanwhile, I built a castle. We didn't get to see how fast that one was built, but we will next time. So that's totally fine. That to say, at this point, we're just trying to survive the onslaught. Now, both of these guys are all in one town center, which again is a strategy that can be implemented in this game. The benefit of going against this is the aforementioned just boom and survive, right? I tried to preserve this. These players get very annoying because they can position their villagers right behind to where you can't hit the villagers. Now, if I would have gotten Bodkin, probably. Because 9 range to 7 means I should be able to hit these vills, but I guess this is a 2-tile unit. So, things to know for later. But why I didn't get Bodkin? Yeah, destroy the blacksmith and market, which was right here. Help me buy time, which is fine by me. Now, if I was smarter, I would have placed this castle where this mill is. It would have been just enough to cover this whole area. And he really, other than... No, he couldn't even get past here. Unless if he did something cheeky like a... excuse me. Siege tower. So I should have put this over here. But in its own right, it's somewhat better that I did it. Can't say I planned it this way, but I adapted, right? So that's kind of that. I don't know if there is a like part of my HUD that's up, but we're just not going to worry about it, right? So anyways, move, please? Alright, so, I don't know at this point. We're just gonna... If there's something in the top left and or top right corner, then, yeah, just... I got a new recording configuration and still trying to work out the kinks. So, if that's there, great. If not, otherwise... Whatever. So, something I missed, Aaron had 2 money shots with the mangonels because the Spaniard wasn't, he's not actually Spaniard. The Spanish wasn't microwaved, so he was able to take out the Ram, which is great, because obviously this outranges that. Yeah, the castle will outrange the mangonels, but the donjon won't. I don't know. So anyways, he's committing a lot of res to this, which is buying me plenty of time. So okay. We got the 5 town centers. We have the Rams. It's time. It's time to push at the original push. So anyways, alright, we're at 7 Rams. Solid. Building an 8. I should have been creating military, but I've prioritized upgrades. Well, here's your military, right? 25 sergeants from the town center. And they're more resistant to conversion, not that that generally plays a role against the Turks. But it could against the Spanish. So anyways. Alright, so we're loading the boys up. It's time to take the sergeant, which I am really starting to appreciate. And, you know, so let's see what our Turk sees. Yeah, now he sees it. So anyways. Yep, he's telling his buddies, ooh. But here's what's great, right? So we get a couple villager kills, always fantastic to have. Now these guys don't get a civ, or not a civ, rather, a infantry damage bonus. So no big deal there. Alright, so we're gonna keep going, because while I could have marched to the Turk, and while I may have won, at this point, he's retreating home. Don't want to contend with this at the moment. And I just know, hey, I gotta outboom this guy. I'm gonna be generating or getting more farms up. My buddy over here is holding the line enough. He just has to keep back the conks, as T90 calls them. He's a really good AoE content creator. I should have attacked this siege workshop while everything else was going on, but that's okay. A lot going on. Yeah, when you garrison siege with infantry, they move dummy quick. So anyways, let's go ahead and... I should have done this a long time ago, but it's okay. So that's the HUD for what's being made. But yeah, so at this point, just get the kills. No, here's the thing with pushes, or in this video content, push-shadowing, or push-shadowing. Always create more than you think, and when available, take care of pesky annoyances. Look at this. I learned this from Red Phosphoru. He's this insane 2200 elo guy. I'm sitting like, I sit in perpetual 1200 lately, so that's nice, but, oh, nice. Yep, spear them down. But, yeah, I live in perpetuity, not perpetuity, jeez, perpetual Smallville when it comes to, well, 1200 is solid, but anyways, the moral is, Red Foster, he does these crazy strategies of all-in castle. I don't know, maybe he does more, but that's like his main shtick. And he showed me you can garrison like, pretty intelligent. So anyways, trying to buy time, this was probably a waste of time. This should have killed that. I mean, it's a freaking ram with infantry guys to push the wooden stake. But I think we get decent value out of this. I don't know what I was thinking. I should have just committed, but either way, that's fine. So I only have one more option I can do. Obviously, my buddy's like, well, what do we want to do? Help you or go to the Spanish? Because that was kind of my original thing was, like, once when I realized we're both castle dropped, we got to pick somebody. And the theory was, okay, let's just take the Spanish out, right? So relics obviously would have been nice, but can't get that at this moment. Cool. That's decent because it, yeah, eliminates any easy ability to scout. And at this point, in the year of our Lord 2025, we're massing some knights. So we gotta just get huge. Now, there was a thought that, okay, if this guy is anything decent, he's gonna want to try to defend himself from the inevitable counterattack. So there's a thought craft going over there. I wanted Hauberk, the unique tech, to give me +2 Pierce 1 melee. I get discouraged when I face gunpowder, and this will be evident in the Puchetto discussion and ongoing situation, but I just knew, okay, I need units, but what I was saying earlier was, even though these guys have a 17 attack, the more pierce armor you have, it will mitigate that much attack. Even if it's better than archers in terms of, like, going through the heavy armor, you know, there you go, right? So, okay, here's the idea. Pretty much, Johns and I were like, hey, we need to attack from multiple angles. We need to commit, right? So I'm gonna just do this and then eventually go over there. Obviously over here there's a lot happening, but I'm massing the troops and we're gonna just go for it. When I say massing, I mean like I need everything. I need as much as possible. So anyways, okay. So we're going for this. We're gonna commit. And we're gonna take this out, right? So I just want to get rid of this. Just take care of it. My point exactly. I probably left this alone because I'm over here. Alright, so obviously I'm housed. Not ideal. So I'm panic building some houses because when you lose 2 castles and all your forward infrastructure, yeah, things happen. So anyways, okay, we're going to start this charge. I should have waited, but I didn't think there was a lot of time. So we're going to focus on this and we'll check back on the Spanish in a second, right? So for me, it's take the siege, right? Take the siege first, even though I'm getting lit up. It's just better to go with that. I said take the siege and then, you know, they escape. Like, for the guy that's all one town center in, the score's indicative. I can come back from this. I just need to continually mass the units and just attrition, right? Killed the bunks, which was good. Over here, again, exceptional value, just killing the villagers. We got this castle down. So now it's step 2 of the plan. You know, obviously we were under a lot of fire, so we couldn't exactly, like, prioritize upgrades and such. I was able to, but, you know, like, it's all good. We just gotta get this done, right? So, it's good that my Rams are still alive, which is nice, and I still have sergeants. So anyways, over here, it's just the way it is, right? So this is what we got to deal with. I think he made one Hussar just to kill Eco, which is, you know, pretty smart. Whatever. But anyways, okay, so I pretty much told this was a psyop. I had nothing to show for it. I just wanted it out there to confuse him, kind of buy just a hair more time, mass the units. We're good, right? So anyways, yeah, destroyed that castle. Spanish is pretty much done, which is so fantastic. So at this point, I pretty much was telling John's like, all right, man, like, I think I can hold this. Just push in on the Turk. Because at this point, like, I knew I had one shot to do this. I can't hold this anymore. He's trying to create a quasi-fatal funnel. I wanted to garrison more units in the stables. And I wanted to attack, like, out and in. And just surround. But at this point, after this Q goes through, it's pretty much go time. So what do we got here? We got 38 hand cannoneers, 3 bombards, and a monk to heal up his units, which is pretty smart. A couple camels, no upgrades, and as the Sicilians, like, it's pretty much a... Why this was here? I have no idea. But alright, it's the Puchetto Mark II. Let's see how this goes. So anyways, he's doing this, which is smart for what it is. But it just gives me the most opportunity to lay waste. So even with all those units, you just mass enough cavalry and it will mow them down. Didn't even have blast furnace in. But job done nonetheless, which is fantastic. PSA, I need to work on my sportsmanship. But this guy just absolutely went all in, and it was so aggravating. So, anyways, this is his setup. All right, and then the Spanish, you know, he got counter-punched and he went to a corner. Whatever, since I'm being a psychopath. Yeah, he cowered in the corner. But anyways, so yeah, got some upgrades in. Eco back home is mostly stabilized, which is solid considering all the push. And yeah, teched into a lot of units. Obviously, I was doing my own thing back home, but it would have been nice to have brought those dudes to attack his base amidst all this, but had to do one thing at a time, right? So after all of that, I finished up with a really solid batch of units. Obviously, there were probably a couple reinforcements streaming in, but you know, it worked out. He probably should have built his infrastructure more forward. Obviously, he has the siege workshop that I should have taken out yesterday, but then he has one over here, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, a lot of carnage and just craziness. You know, while it goes without saying, this game moves at like 1.7 speed, so it's kind of finicky as to why the game does that. I guess it's a psyop of like, oh, like, I actually have more time than I thought. I can play more games. Happens to me all the time. So anyways, yeah, just absolute crazy game. It was fun. By the end of the day, if you get pushed into, I learned this from Hera, who's ranked #1 in the world right now, you just gotta out boom, and you gotta have a deliberate plan. In this case, while this is semi-typified, just production, right? So we got, yeah, we were gonna have a little bit more production, but this was really solid. So I have at least 10 stables up at the moment, which is fantastic. Yeah, I had to rebuild that. Oh yeah, with the forgot to mention. So the Spanish obviously have their own internal blacksmith team bonus. My team bonus is completely worthless. Transport ships, garbage. But John's was 80% working blacksmiths, like speed, so that was awesome. I should have gotten blast furnace, obviously, but again, a lot. But that was how I was able to tech into these units really quick, which was beyond thankful and very helpful on that. So, I'm Dr. Loving. I played with my best bud Johns. Was not a let's always go brutalism and excited to face gunpowder guys. Like, that's not the thought. But effective nonetheless. And